What if I told you that decades ago, a man warned his clients about a great disturbance in financial circles right before the 1929 stock market crash? That he spoke of an alliance between Germany, Austria, and Japan years before the Axis powers formed? And what if I told you this same man, a quiet photographer from Kentucky with no medical training, could supposedly diagnose and prescribe treatments for people hundreds of miles away, all while in a deep sleep? This man was Edgar Cayce, known to many as the Sleeping Prophet. He gave over 14,000 documented psychic readings in his lifetime, creating a library of insights so vast it's still studied today. But out of all those thousands of readings, a few stand out. They point to a monumental global shift, a time of immense challenge and a spiritual transformation for all of humanity. Now, Cayce himself rarely gave exact dates for his biggest predictions. So, where does 2025 come from? Researchers, after studying the convergence of his most significant prophecies, believe we're in a critical window of time right now, a turning point that many think culminates around the year 2025. This isn't a story about the end of the world. It's a story about the end of the world as we know it. It's about a spiritual crossroads for the soul of our planet and a vision of China's unlikely rise as a source of global awakening. Stick with me, because we're about to unpack the prophecies of Edgar Cayce that seem to be unfolding right before our eyes, and the crucial warning he left for all of us. To get the prophecies, you first have to get the man. Edgar Cayce wasn't some guru on a mountaintop. He was born in 1877 to a farming family in rural Kentucky. His life was pretty ordinary until strange things started happening. As a kid, he claimed he could talk to his late grandfather's spirit and that he could learn his school lessons just by sleeping on the textbooks. But his real gift snapped into focus after a bizarre illness left him unable to speak above a whisper. When doctors gave up, Cayce tried something wild. He put himself into that same sleepy trance from his childhood and in a perfectly clear voice diagnosed his own condition and prescribed a treatment. Within hours, his voice was completely restored. Word of this miracle got around. Soon, letters started pouring in from all over the country, from people desperate for help with their own health problems. Lying on a couch, eyes closed, Cayce would enter his trance, and a stenographer would write down everything he said in what became known as readings. In this state, he could reportedly diagnose complex medical issues and recommend remedies that led to incredible recoveries. Though it's important to note, these abilities were never validated by modern science. What makes Cayce's story so fascinating is how reluctant he was. He was a devout Christian and constantly worried his gift might come from a dark place. He never wanted fame and refused to get rich from his readings, often living in poverty while helping countless others. In 1931, his supporters helped him establish the Association for Research and Enlightenment, ARE, in Virginia Beach to preserve the 14,406 readings he'd give before his death. Tucked away inside these health readings were astonishing prophecies about the world's future. He talked about new technologies, wars, political shifts, massive earth changes, and a spiritual destiny for humanity that was bigger than anyone could imagine. He was a man who, while totally unconscious, seemed to tap into a universal source of knowledge, what some call the Akashic Records. Before we get to the big one for our time, we have to ask, why should we listen to a man who died in 1945? The answer lies in his track record, which is both stunning and, frankly, a little weird. We already mentioned the stock market. In 1925, And again in March 1929, he gave private readings for clients where he warned them to expect a great disturbance and to get out of the market before a crash. Those who listened were spared the disaster of Black Tuesday. His geopolitical foresight was also sharp. He spoke of an alliance between Germany, Austria, and Japan in 1935, a chilling forecast of the Axis powers 4 years before World War II began. He also spoke of Russia giving hope to the world, not through communism, but through a new form of spiritual freedom. At the height of the Cold War, that idea seemed completely absurd, but history has shown him to be at least partially right in that the old Soviet Union did indeed collapse. He even seemed to see scientific discoveries years in advance. He talked about a Jewish spiritual community called the Essenes and their hidden records years before the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in 1947. He also mentioned that blood could be used as a major diagnostic tool, a concept that is the foundation of modern medicine. But here's where it gets interesting. Painting Cayce as a perfect prophet would be a mistake. He also made predictions that just didn't happen, at least not how he described them. His most dramatic warnings were about what he called earth changes. He foresaw a period of intense geological chaos between 1958 and 1998, including a shift of the planet's poles and the destruction of major cities. He specifically said a pole shift would become apparent around 2000 or 2001. Obviously, that didn't happen. Skeptics rightly point to this as a major failure, but followers, and Cayce himself, had a different take. Prophecy isn't set in stone. It's a warning. It's what will happen if we keep going down the same path. The whole point of a prophecy, in Cayce's view, is to sound an alarm so we have the chance to change course. And that very idea is the key to understanding his biggest prophecy, the one for our time. Let's be upfront. Edgar Cayce never said the words 2025 prophecy. That specific year doesn't appear in his readings. The 2025 idea comes from modern researchers who have studied his work for decades. They see a convergence of different timelines, geopolitical, geological, and spiritual, all pointing to the era we're living in right now as the great turning point he described. And his most mind-blowing prophecies for this turning point weren't about America or Europe. They were about the East. Decades before China was a global superpower, Cayce made a prediction that's still one of his most startling. In a reading, he declared that one day China would become the cradle of Christianity, as applied in the lives of men. Let's be crystal clear about what he meant, because it's not what you think. Cayce wasn't saying 1 billion people would suddenly convert to the Christianity we know in the West. His vision was way deeper. He was talking about a Christ consciousness, the core principle of brotherly love in action. He foresaw a time when the people of China would have a spiritual awakening and start living by the idea that each man will live for his fellow man. Their society would become the new bedrock, the cradle, for a lived, practical spirituality that would then spread across the world. This wasn't a prophecy about military or economic dominance, though those could be part of it. It was about a spiritual inheritance. As he put it, "Yea, it is far off as man counts time, but only a day in the heart of God. For tomorrow China will awake."
This book is your beginner's guide to understanding Scripture. Find peace, build relationships, and discover purpose in today's world. Ready to decode the Bible? Find Bible Decoded available on Amazon now.
If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos. He delivered this vision as a stark warning to the West. He cautioned that if America lost its spiritual principles and chose materialism and selfishness above all else, it would lose its way and its influence. He saw a moral decay in the West that would create a vacuum, one that would be filled by a rising consciousness from the East. His predictions of strife and division in America feel incredibly spot on today. So according to Cayce, what we're seeing isn't just a transfer of money and power from West to East. It's the start of a massive shift in the world's spiritual center of gravity. It's a sign that the old era is giving way to a new one, defined by a different kind of wisdom, from a place the world least expected. If this is resonating with you, and if you feel both the warning and the hope in these ideas, do me a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries shaping our world. We're just getting started, and what comes next is the spiritual battle Cayce said would define our future. The shift of global focus to China was only one piece of a much bigger puzzle. The main event Cayce saw was a global spiritual battle. This wasn't a war with armies and bombs. It was a war for consciousness, fought inside the heart and mind of every single person on Earth. Cayce described it as a struggle between two basic forces. On one side, you have the forces of light, which represent everything that lifts us up: compassion, unity, and the search for purpose. These forces are pushing us toward a collective awakening. On the other side are the forces of darkness. These are the spiritual parasites that feed on our worst instincts: fear, greed, division, and hate. These forces want to keep us asleep, trapped in a loop of conflict and suffering, totally disconnected from our true spiritual selves. According to Cayce, this epic struggle was set to intensify dramatically during the Great Turning Point. All the chaos he predicted, the earth changes, the economic wobbles, the political turmoil, they weren't random. They were catalysts. They are the contractions of a world giving birth to a new consciousness, and the pain is meant to force us to choose a side. He believed every thought, word, and action you take adds to one side or the other. An act of kindness, a moment of forgiveness, a prayer for a stranger, these aren't small things. In Cayce's view, they are powerful moves for the forces of light. On the flip side, an act of greed or a word of hate feeds the darkness and strengthens its grip on the world. This is where you come in. The future of the world isn't just in the hands of presidents and CEOs, it's in our hands. The spiritual battle for humanity is won or lost in the choices we make every single day. Are we living for ourselves, or are we living for each other? Are we spreading love, or are we spreading fear? This is the test Cayce said our generation would have to face. It's easy to hear all this and want to hide under the covers. Earth changes, global power shifts, a spiritual war for our souls. It sounds terrifying. But if you only focus on the doom and gloom, you miss the entire point of Edgar Cayce's message. And this is the most important takeaway from his life's work. In his thousands of readings, Cayce was crystal clear on one thing: free will is everything. A prophecy, he insisted, is never a fixed, unchangeable fate. It's a warning. It's like a weather forecast, showing the most likely destination if we stay on our current path. The future isn't a block of concrete waiting for us. It's a fluid, shifting reality that we shape every single moment. He saw his prophecies not as a death sentence, but as a diagnosis. Just like he'd diagnose a person's illness and offer a path to get better, his global prophecies diagnosed the sickness of the world, its materialism, its division, its spiritual forgetfulness, and offered a cure. That cure was always a return to spiritual principles, an awakening of consciousness. The vision for 2025 and the years around it isn't meant to paralyze us with fear. It's meant to mobilize us with purpose. It's a cosmic alarm clock ringing to wake us up. The chaos and uncertainty aren't signs of the end. They're signs that the old systems are breaking down to make way for something new. The point of the prophecy isn't to tell us what will happen, but to ask us what we will choose to make happen. This is the ultimate message of hope in Cayce's work. We aren't just helpless passengers watching a movie that's already been written. We are the co-creators of the future. The spiritual awakening he saw isn't guaranteed. It has to be earned. It's a conscious choice that has to be made by millions of individuals who decide to choose love over fear, and unity over division. Edgar Cayce's prophecies for our time give us a profound choice. They paint a picture of a world on the edge of a massive transformation. His vision of China's rise as a spiritual cradle isn't a done deal, but a potential that can only be unlocked through a deep inner shift. The future is unwritten. Cayce showed us the possible roads, the warnings, and the incredible promise. Now, the choice is ours. What do you think? Are we living through the great turning point that Edgar Cayce foresaw? Is a global awakening really on the horizon? Drop your thoughts and interpretations in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring the biggest mysteries of our world, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Feeling anxious or disconnected? Ready for a deeper faith journey designed just for you? Discover Bible Study for Black Women. This guide nurtures faith, strength, and growth week by week. Overcome fear and connect with God. This empowering journey is waiting. Find Bible Study for Black Women on Amazon today and start building unshakable faith.
If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos.
Templar.